Daily, presented by L'Auberge Casino. Ronnie Rantz alongside Tommy Krysan. Hope everybody's having a good one. TK is over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. I'm in the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame studios, and we are going to talk a lot of LSU baseball today. We're going to talk a little bit about an epic comeback by the New Orleans Pelicans. Deion Sanders makes his debut at Jackson State, goes a little awry off the field. And we'll also talk a little LSU basketball as the Tigers look like they may be, they're playing some of their best basketball at the right time down the stretch. They're back in action tomorrow against Georgia. So we've got all of that and more coming up. Sports Shorts Daily, presented by L'Auberge Casino. Don't go anywhere. TK, what's up, my friend?
Good morning, Ronnie. I'm glad to see the sunshine and some warmer temperatures as we've been decked a little bit the last several days. And might get a little chilly tonight, but not as bad as this past weekend. I'm doing great over here at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood.
Well, LSU baseball in action tonight against Louisiana Tech. That game moved up to 5 o'clock. Louisiana Tech always has a nice squad. LSU 1-1 after its first two games against the Air Force Academy. And we got a few folks that appreciate you guys watching us. Make sure you like and share. Stephen Miller jumping in already saying, morning, fellas. Finally, some great baseball talk out of Baton Rouge this morning. That's what we'll get into here in just a minute. Devin, you're right. A little overreaction Monday. I mean, that's what we do. We're going to talk a little LSU baseball, and then our boy Craig Schilling. No way Ronnie put that intro together. You're 100% right, Craig. Got to give Grayson McDonald credit for that intro. We way ahead of me, Craig. All right, so overreaction Monday. LSU, we would expect the Tigers to be 2-0 at this point. They're 1-1. There's a part of me, Tommy, that says, hey, that's just baseball. Let me put it like this. In 1995, granted, it was a year LSU didn't go to the College World Series, but it was a year that LSU won. Hosted a regional. In 1995, LSU lost 2-1, I believe, to Louisiana College. Louisiana College was NAIA Division III at the time. I believe NAIA at that time. They lost 2-1 to Louisiana College. I mean, that's equivalent to them losing to the Loyola of New Orleans or Delgado or something like that, right? They lost 2-1. LSU's lost to Southern a couple times. I think 3 to be exact that they've lost. One under Maneri, one under Skip, and one under Smoke. So these things happen. That's part of baseball. I will say this. The first two games, Tommy, I am initially concerned about the offense. Last year in a shortened sample size, they hit 250. That was even before the season started, before they got into SEC play. So naturally, your averages don't generally go up when you get in SEC play. They kind of go down. But they were hitting 250. That's kind of around that same page where they were in Paul Maneri's first year when they were a couple of games above 500 back in 2007. So I am concerned right off the top that they may not have the depth 1 through 9 in the offense that we kind of had hoped for. Obviously, we'll see. It's only 2 games. But they didn't have double-digit hits against an Air Force team that really only had 1 or 2 SEC-type arms.
Well, like Devin said, it's overreaction Monday. And, 2 games is a small sample size. But here's what got my attention. I'm going to make the numbers fit college baseball that they normally talk about major leagues. In a 56-game schedule, you're going to win 15, you're going to lose 15. What you do in the other 26 will determine whether you win championships. You're going to lose some games, but you can't lose games that you lead in the 9th inning. You can't let those get away. That's the thing that I grabbed attention when I studied the box scores. Ronnie, you know me, I read box scores as thoroughly as anybody that you have ever met. You can't let those games get away. That day when you get beat 10-2 and some pitcher just does a great job, that's baseball. But you can't get there and lose that thing in the ninth inning. I mean, you had some errors earlier in that game. Looked like you were going to overcome that. Can't let those get away. That's tough. Small sample size, overreaction Monday, but put a little asterisk on that one. Might look back down the year if you would need another win.
Let's go. I want to, for those LSU baseball fans, we'll walk through the first two games real quick. We'll start with the opener on Saturday at 1 o'clock. And by the way, I was on the PA for Saturday at the opening day because Bill Franquez was out of town. Skip Bertman did make an appearance in the bottom. The real Skip Bertman. He made an appearance in the bottom of the fifth. He did the lineups for LSU in the bottom of the fifth. I think a lot of the people, Tommy, in the stands weren't sure it was him. So they were kind of like I was like, ladies and gentlemen, the Hall of legendary coach Skip Bertman going to bring you the bottom of the fifth, and I think there was a little hesitation, like, yeah, it's Skip, but it really was him.
Ryan, you do a lot of things well. Two of them are sing the national anthem and then imitate Skip Bertman. Okay, so I can understand people being confused. There have been times over the years when you're on the radio with somebody and I turn it on and I'm like, wait, hey, they got Skip on today. No, that's Ronnie. And then I, as well as I know you and have known you for 25 years, sometimes I got to put that extra listening in and like, okay, is that Ronnie or is that Skip? And sometimes I can tell, but not every time.
By the way, he butchered DiGiacomo's name, which isn't a big deal on him. Everybody butchered.
I did it the other day on Ken Trahan's radio show. I mean, wow.
Yeah. He got to Giovanni, kind of locked up. He just skipped the first name and went to Giacomo or something like that. Anyway, so Coach, we'll appreciate Coach stopping by the booth and doing that. All right, so the first game on Monday, Jaden Hill, for the most part, looked like we expected he would. He was 94 to 97 the whole time. He didn't hit. He capped out at 97. He went 4 innings, gave up 3 hits, didn't walk anybody, Tommy. 5 strikeouts. I believe all 5 strikeouts were looking, which was impressive. Tells you the breaking ball. I think he got 4 of the 5 on breaking balls. He threw 62 pitches in 4 innings. That's about normal. You want to be at 60 or below through 4 innings. He was at 62. So Jaden Hill did what Jaden Hill did. Good first start. Of course, he gets credit for the win because it was a predetermined deal where they were going to pull him out of the game. Garrett Edwards came in, who was a freshman out of Pitkin, who we talked about on this show, kind of a Russ Springer clone, a basketball player, a baseball player guy from the country in central Louisiana. He looked really nice. 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 strikeouts, no walks. But Tommy, this guy's 6'5", way over the top. Easy, comes out the hand easy, 90, 91. A lot to like there about the true freshman Garrett Edwards. Matthew Beck did a nice job in his inning in the third. Alex Brady came on, a lefty, worked an inning, only gave up an earned run. He walked a guy, so the guy eventually came around. Aaron George was okay, 2/3, gave up a hit. And then Devin Fontenot came in to pitch the ninth and did his job. Devin Fontenot got up in the bullpen. It was 4-1, Tommy, in the bottom of the 8th. He got up to get loose, and then all of a sudden to pitch. I mean, Paul Mainieri had said, okay, Devin, it's a 4-1 lead. You're going to go pitch the ninth. While he's getting hot, Zach Arnold hits a 2-run homer. The score goes from 4-1 to 6-1. Paul Mainieri decides, listen, the guy's already up. He's red hot. Let's just let him, even though it's not a save opportunity, let's let him get in there. And I think probably a part of Paul Mainieri's thought too, Tommy, was, you know what? It's a close game. It was a save opportunity a minute ago. Now it's not. But chances are we're not going to be in a close game again with Air Force, right? I mean, they probably thought it's going to be some separation. So maybe Devin Fontenot, maybe this is the closest it gets is 5 runs. And so Devin goes in there, does his job. So he's not available on Sunday, at least at this point in the season. I mean, he could be available a month or 2 from now. But right now, they're not going to go back-to-back unless they really have to. And so Devin Fontenot isn't available on Sunday. That obviously cost them on Sunday. But just some reaction from the box score and some things that you heard and saw on Saturday. 2 hits in the game by Dylan Cruz, who are both singles, kind of little C&I deals. The only other hit, Beloso had a hit. Trey Morgan had 1 hit. Zach Arnold had 2 hits, including the 2-run homer late, and Alex Milazzo had hit. But only 8 hits total for LSU on Saturday, Tommy, in a game where they had 11 walks. So 19 free passes. I think they even had a hit batter in there, and they only got 6 runs. So it was a little bit probably should have had 11 or 12 runs.
Well, timely hitting is very, very important. I mean, you got to be able. You get guys on base, you got to move them over. You got to get them to touch home plate. And yeah, I understand you. Sometimes you're managing the weekend and you're trying to save a closer. It's early in the year. It's cold, but you got to win the game you're playing. But if you go up 6-1, get somebody else out there, and if they turn it into 6-3, then get you a closer. It's easy for me to coach from Tremonti's on Monday morning. I get that, but sometimes you have to, manage the game and the weekend in college baseball. And I'm sure if he could do it all over again, he would do it differently. But you don't get a chance to do it all over again.
Craig Schilling's got a comment that I'm gonna post on here in just a second, and then I'm gonna because we're getting to that. Okay, my takeaway on the first game was pitching looked good. Hill did what you wanted. The bullpen did what you wanted. Offense was not great, but all right. It's the first game. You got a number of guys that are out there for the first time. It's cold. Whatever. Okay, you get the win. You move on 6-1. You come to Sunday. Landon Marceau gets the start on Sunday, Tommy. And I thought looked pretty good. I mean, I thought Landon Marceau, looked pretty good and did for the most part what you want him to do. 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, none of them earned, 4 strikeouts. Okay, so I thought Landon Marceau moved the ball around. He threw 63 pitches in 5 innings. That's good. That's what he does. He's not he throws a lot of strikes. So Landon Marceau was pretty good. Mikhail Hilliard didn't look great. Worked an inning, gave up 2 hits and a run, didn't strike anybody out. So Mikhail Hilliard was a little bit unimpressive, especially compared to other arms. Blake Money, the freshman, wait till you see this guy. I know on Sunday you were at USSSA, so you can just listen. Blake Money, 6'6", 6'7". Tommy comes out the hand super easy, 91, 2-3. Like Blake Money, a lot to like there for the future. Trent Ventmeyer was good, 1 inning, 2 strikeouts, no walks, did his thing. The slider was working. And then the LSU doesn't hit. They somehow scratch out thanks to some mistakes by Air Force and walks in the 8th. Then they take a 4-3 lead to the 9th. This is where I'll just say I disagree with how it was handled. Now, this is what ended up happening. Paul Maneri brought in Ty Floyd, who is, as we've talked on this show, a young man who would never probably have not been in college had there not been COVID. Had there been a normal year and a normal draft, this was a guy that Boris is his agent. He had a first-round tender, first-round number, and they couldn't justify it with the shortened season and the sample size. But Ty Floyd's a guy that throws 92 to 95 and probably would not have come to college had there been a normal year. They think the world of him. They think he's going to be a great pitcher. They put him in to close the 9th. This is the comment that Craig meant. It's okay that Craig Schilling just typed in. It's okay to experiment the first week to see who can do what. I don't have an issue putting the freshman Floyd out there in the 9th. George was a surprise, though. Okay, now here's why I disagree. When you're a freshman, when you're a first-time guy, pitching in college, particularly at the box in front of 2,500 fans, regardless of the number, it's intimidating. There's some butterflies. There's nervousness that goes through you. It's always best to put them in a successful situation, like you did the day before with a few-run lead with some of the other guys. Up, down, on a Tuesday night against Northwestern State, or give them a start in a midweek, whatever the case may be. It's always to get that first one out of the way. Skip Bertman was the best at that. He hardly ever put a freshman in a tight situation in his first ever outing, that they played. Because also starting is different. I mean, starting doesn't even count. Like the guys that were great, like Scott Schultz or Brett Laxton, that started as freshmen, or Lane Mestepe, those guys got to start. And when you start, it's different, Tommy. You get a chance to work into it. In this one, Floyd had no wiggle room. 1-run lead in the 9th. He's looking around. It's the first time his fans, the chest is beating, the heart's pumping. Not the situation for a freshman. Even as talented as he is, pick another time. Pick another spot. And by the way, when it became a rule that guys can't throw more than 1 inning, you just had Vintmeyer the inning before looked great. Let him throw 2 innings. There's nothing wrong with that. And the whole thing that Craig said about let's find out what they can do, that's hogwash. We know what he can do. He's 92 to 95. He's a superstar. He wasn't going to come. He's going to be a great pitcher at LSU. We can find out what he can do after he gets that first one under his belt, and he can kind of just relax and then, put him in a tight spot the next time out. But
yeah, well, I mean, you got to put one of the oldest creeds in coaching is put people in position to be successful. Don't ask a kid to do something if you don't think he can do it. Well, you're trying to win a baseball game. You're right, Ronnie. That freshman stuff, I mean, that's a factor. I don't care if you are a pro prospect and you struck out 9 million guys in high school. It's still different when you get out there on that college mind. You did it. I did it. Many people watching us did it. But, I mean, it's just it backfired a little bit on Sunday, and, they got to learn from it. And, I got a couple text messages. People said, when's Paul Mainieri going to figure out when they'll take in a pitcher, when to leave one, when to take him out? I'm like, he's always had a little issue with that. You can always find times when you maybe should have left the guy in low. Hindsight's 20/20. It's easy to coach from the stands. It's easy to coach on Monday when we're doing Sports Shorts Daily. But, some of it is warranted.
By the way, Floyd's first time out, he went a third of an inning. He gave up a hit. He gave up 3 earned runs, had 2 walks, struck out 1. And then George came in, threw gasoline on the fire, walked a couple of guys before getting an out. You look at we gave up a swinging bunt and then a couple of walks and all that stuff. Stephen Miller said George hasn't ever shown enough of consistency to warrant pitching in a crucial situation. I'll say this. As far as LSU right now on the back end of that bullpen, Fontenot, Beck, Vetmeyer, those are the 3 that you have the most confidence in. George, to me, has always been a guy. He's had some moments, but for the most part, he is a little bit of a coin flipper and a little bit of a inning eater in the middle back end. Like he's the next tier of reliever with the Hilliards and the George and all that kind of stuff. But I have the most confidence, of course, in Fontenot, and then I probably have the next most confidence in Vetmeyer and Beck, kind of a combo deal. So when you got to that situation where you could see that, oh God, it's going bad for Floyd, you had to get somebody in there to hopefully get a strikeout ground ball type situation. Your only option, you'd already pulled Vetmeyer. You clearly weren't going to bring Fontenot back on back-to-back early in the season. You made that decision already with Floyd that inning. So I guess your question, you already pitched Hilliard earlier. So it was between Beck and George. And I don't know if it was a situation where you felt like George's arm was more resilient than Beck's at this point, or if George was more of a strikeout guy than Beck because he had the slider. I don't know. But that was really your only decision, was Beck or George. And we don't know what all else went into it. So it didn't work out. George came in and didn't get it done. And LSU lost the game to Air Force that, quite frankly, Tommy, they didn't deserve to win. They made a bunch of errors. They didn't hit. And they'll get a chance, though. That's the beautiful thing about baseball, 5 o'clock today.
Well, you got to turn the page, got to line up. If you don't get after it today, Tech will come into the box and win a game. So you got to turn the page, get over it, play tonight's game, 5 o'clock game with Louisiana Tech, and then, get on a drawing board Tuesday morning and hopefully don't have any more problems going forward. I'd have went with Beck because of the old experience thing. You got a guy that can go out there and do it, and a guy that you're not so sure. Well, again, hindsight's 20/20. It's one game out of 56. If they get them all in, we'll see if they can improve on that going forward.
This was an interesting comment Devin made. He said biggest surprise this weekend was Zach Arnold. Pleasant surprise. I'll put it at that. Zach Arnold's in a battle for the shortstop job. It looks like it's probably his now, particularly with the injury to Giovanni DiGiacomo. Looks like he pulled a hamstring, is going to be out for a while. Because of that, you probably will see Bianco and others move to the outfield. That allows you to put Arnold at short. He hit the ball, had a couple hits Saturday, came off the bench, should have had a game-winning hit on Sunday. So he's swinging it good. He's probably as good or better a defensive shortstop than Bianco. And now you can, depending on what Drew does, he can play some third if you need him to. He can play outfield if you need him to. So Zach Arnold looks like he's probably in there at shortstop and might even be his position the rest of the year. We'll see.
Yeah, small snapshot, but it'll be something to watch.
The one thing that was interesting, Tommy, and I know you didn't get a chance to see everything working U-Trips, so I'll say you had to watch on your phone and listen and things like that. But this experiment with Will Helmers at third base has got to end, and I think it has. I was stunned, shocked, and amazed, I got to believe you, got to tell you that Will Helmer's got to start on Sunday. I think anybody who watched Will Helmer's play, he's a freshman out of Jesuit, who, from all I've heard, is a fantastic pitcher, and has a future there on the bullpen. 88, 89, disappearing ball, looks really good. Got the high spin rate thing, kind of an Austin Bain type clone. That is a pitcher, and I think his future is clearly going to be on the mound. When I watched him on Saturday, Tommy, just swinging the bat, just moving around, it didn't look like a position player. It looked like a pitcher playing third in an inner squad or something. He swung and missed at 84, 85-mile-an-hour fastballs and 2-1, 3-0, 3-1 counts. I mean, you can't do that. And then so he makes an error. He doesn't hit. He doesn't look the part. And then Paul puts him out there to start on Sunday. I was shocked. Clearly, he pulled him later on, and I don't think we'll ever see him again as a position player, or at least for a while, a year or two or something. Maybe down the road he turns into a Bain. I don't know. But that was an experiment going awry. Some of them worked. This one didn't.
Well, and you get to the freshman thing again. Last year he's playing in the Catholic League in New Orleans, shortened season. All of a sudden he gets out here. He's playing at LSU. He's playing in the SEC. Air Force is trying to win the game. So it could have been that too, but I don't like what you're saying. I just look like the pitcher playing third in the inter squad game. Like, hey, you go play third because so-and-so got to go change his spikes. Stand on third so we can get going.
Tommy, in the program or the scouting report or whatever on Helmer's, when it talks about Helmer's, he has an unorthodox swing. That is the scouting report on him.
Oh, wow.
You've never heard of a great hitter with that they say he has an unorthodox swing. By the way, before he's even ever done it, right? It's one thing if you hit 300 for a couple years with an unorthodox swing. And so that was just, I don't know, that was reaching. I don't think anybody's been really playing well at third. And so Paul was just thinking, hey, this guy's athletic. Let's give him a try. Well, it didn't work.
One way to find out if a guy can do it is put him out there. Well, you put him out there. It didn't work. So now you can't put him back out there anytime soon. Like you said, I don't know, about a year. It'll depend on if someone else will step up and do the job at third and bring a bat to the plate.
Congratulations, by the way, to the Raging Cajuns. They took 2 out of 3 from the Tulane Green Wave down in New Orleans. Tulane's got a nice squad. LSU and UL will do battle in Lafayette Wednesday, by the way. Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. That game will be on the ESPN Plus app. The Sun Belt Conference is not allowing third parties to air the game. So like in the past, a lot of UL games and things were on CST and the app and all. Now it's just all app. So if they've got rights, they're gobbling them up. So anyway, we'll that'll be a good one on Wednesday night. Of course, tonight Louisiana Tech, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. College football started over the weekend, Tommy, and you and I were down in Nichols on Friday night as the FCS has about 3/4 of their teams, maybe even a little more than that, about 80% of their teams playing football this spring. The Ivy League, the MEAC are not, and a handful of other teams. But Nichols won 87-3 over Missouri Lincoln University, or Lincoln University of Missouri, Division II school. So you got an FCS school beat a Division II school, and a bad Division II school at that. There's some good ones. This was not a good one. They've only won one game 5 times in the last 10 years. 87-3. You were at the game working. There were 4 missed extra points by Nichols, by the way, or they'd have hung 91. And if you make 3 of the 4, I mean, 90 just would have looked and felt so much better. I wish they would have done it. But that said, give Lincoln credit for taking this game. They found out about 2-3 weeks ago they were even playing it. This is like the 7th opponent Nichols has tried to get. They wanted to get a game before Southland Conference play next week. But Tim Rebowe, a guy you know very well, going for his 3rd straight Southland Conference championship. They got a nice team again.
Yeah, he's got a lot of good skilled players. And, Lindsey Scott, Zachary Hyde, one-time LSU signee, looked good. Now, let me qualify. They were playing against air, maybe 1 degree above air, okay? But, anyway, they have some big wide receivers. They got a bunch of running backs. They played 4 quarterbacks in the game. 4. Okay. When's the last time a college football team?
And 7 running backs, by the way.
Yeah. So, it was a big night for Nichols and skill. I mean, I was down on the sideline with the Colonels. They were fired up, and they were glad to see other players get in the game, some guys who might not get in for a while. I think everybody that dressed out got into the game. So, Tim Rebowe, they got it done. And I'll say this, too, very good crowd on the home side of the stadium. I'm going to be nice and, well, I'm not going to talk about social distancing. I'm just going to say that was a very good crowd at Guidry Stadium in Thibodaux. Now, it was so cold and the score, a lot of people left, But I remember we were driving down there. I was driving. You were reading over the game notes, and I said, Ronnie, this could be 42-0 at half. Well, you know what? It was 39-0 at half. And then, it was tough to watch. I felt for you having to announce the darn thing, but it was tough to watch on the sidelines. I started getting a little chilly in the fourth quarter, because I wasn't moving around much. I'm just, doing the red hat thing. But no, it was a nice win for the Colonels. Set all kind of school record that might not ever get broke. We'll see how they fare I think they got Lamar this week in Southland Conference action.
I'll tell you this. I think the Colonels will win the Southland Conference. They've got the Lindsey Scott, the former Zachary Bronco, who led them to a state championship back in 2015, spent time at LSU, led Last Chance U, the JUCO over in Mississippi, East Mississippi Community College, to a national championship in 2017. And then it didn't work out at Missouri, found his home in Nichols, and he's going to be the dude. The only problem I have with Lindsey Scott, Tommy, is he's wearing number 0. I cannot stand that number 0 has made a comeback the way it has. And all of a sudden now everybody thinks they're Xavier McDaniel or something. They're out there wearing a 0.
Well, I'll say this, too, about Lindsey Scott, that I was on the sidelines literally 10, 15 yards away from him. Once they pulled him out of the game, they put Colton Grenier, Destrehan kid, in as a backup. Then Lindsey Scott went back in. But once they pulled him out for the night, he put the yellow vest on, and he was one of the guys helping signal the plays in. Yeah, and I was watching him on the side. He was very interactive with the other backup quarterbacks. I'm assuming he was encouraging them, firing them up, pumping them up. He was mixing it up with his linemen all night long on the bench when the defense was out there. He was the guy you want. Now, he's only 5'11", maybe on his tippy toes, but he threw some nice balls, albeit against air. We'll see how that goes forward for Lindsey Scott. But the early read, even against Lincoln University, is Nichols got a lot of skilled players that can go. Some wide receivers that are 6'4", 6'5". I think they're going to be tough.
Yeah, they have the best skill receivers they've ever had, according to Tim Rebo. How long do you think Deion Sanders coaches at Jackson State? They won their first game 50-something-0. They played a Lincoln University type team. They've had a great recruiting class, tons of national attention, but already in about a 2-month span, Deion Sanders had stuff stolen out of his truck in Jackson. He had stuff stolen out of his locker room during the game, and it kind of put a stain on what should have been a celebration yesterday in Jackson for this program and for Deion as the first game ever as a coach, that now we're talking about how his stuff was taken out of the locker room. And by the way, they did get it back. There was a girl who saw a guy taking it, and she reported it, and they got the stuff back. But but how long do you think realistically he's there?
I'm not sure of that. I mean, I think if he does really good things for a couple of years, some other college will, university will hire him. But you're right, Ronnie. I mean, they get the big win over a very small school, Eddie Waters or something. I believe Southern played them a few years back.
Eddie Smith, the LSU hitting coach.
No, Eddie Waters. I think the name of the school. I think they're from Georgia. I don't know.
Charlie Waters.
Unfortunate that we're talking about this stuff got stolen. The university says no, it didn't. Deion says yes, it did. I mean, come on, guys, let's get organized a little bit. It's not a good look for Jackson State. It's not a good look for the SWAC. It's not a good look for Deion Sanders. I mean, get this stuff figured out. And if something like that happens, try to keep it off the news line. You had Troy Aikman, Super Bowl MVP, teammate of Deion, making the surprise visit to wish his former teammate good luck and all that. And then all we got to talk about is the iPhone's gone and the watch and the credit card. Oh, wait, it's not gone. I mean, come on. Let's get it right.
No, I 100% agree, and I'm sure that's the school's not happy. They're wishing Deion would have not said anything, at the press conference, because unfortunately that's what ran all over ESPN and stuff, was that instead of just the Troy Aikman visit and highlights of the game and all that, is that everybody's talking. It's a bad look. Look, it happened at Southern a couple of years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, where like the visiting team was ripped off, while they were on the field. It's happened.
Hey, how about the campus police? Let's get some people involved and make sure that stuff doesn't happen. You knew were going to play the game. You knew they were going to leave the locker room and the office and go out on the field. I think was it in Jackson at Memorial Stadium?
It was in Jackson, yeah.
Okay, come on. That can't happen. That can't happen.
Some comments for some folks on our thread here. Stephen Miller says, at what point do we look hard, and this is talking about LSU baseball, and ask tough questions to Paul? How did we go November to February and not figure out who was the best shortstop / third baseman? Some value to that.
What it tells me is they don't have somebody that they've locked in and said that's the guy. They're still trying to figure it out. And, I mean, that shouldn't happen at LSU.
Yeah, I know talking with the coaches and stuff that each guy has their own individual issues. I know that when it comes to the shortstop position, I know some people asked about Cranford because he played there a little bit last year at Zachary. I hear things haven't been going too well for him in practice. He's taken a step back. And it came down to Arnold and Bianco at short. They believed that Zach Arnold was the better player and would be the better player, but they wanted to give Drew some opportunity. He basically expressed that he was the most comfortable at that position because he played it all through high school. But I think now with Arnold getting off to the hot start and the injury to Giovanni DiGiacomo, when now there's a hole. There's not many guys can play center field at the moment. Hampton Jr. is not really healthy. He broke the pinky in football. He's still coming around to it. He hasn't been looking good in practice because he's behind the 8-ball. But needless to say, I think Bianco gets some opportunities out there unless he just can't get it done. But I agree. You should be able to be a little bit probably nail down some guys with all that practice time and scrimmages and stuff like that. Let me get your reaction, Tommy, to LSU basketball. The Tigers right now, the last two games – have played their best games of the year, Tennessee and on the road at Auburn, where they hung over 100 on Saturday.
Well, we talked about it on Sports Daily a couple of days last week. We were on like every day last week with the cold snap. But Will Wade got their attention at a practice a couple of practices ago, a few weeks ago, after they had some poor performances where they lost 4 out of 5. He got on them. They got Darius Days back. Then all of a sudden, they're really looking good. And now is a good time to be looking good when the tournament selection committee eyes are on you. The tournament conference tournament's right around the corner. They got to play at Georgia tomorrow. That's a winnable game, 6 o'clock Louisiana time. Chip, we'll see Will Wade and his basketball team can keep that momentum going. That would serve them well, especially with the postseason basically right around the corner.
Craig Schilling saying, asking if Will Wade can petition to take 6 days off between SEC games in the future, because clearly when they have time to prepare, it's like Will Wade's like the Bill Belichick of college basketball. Give him 2 weeks to prepare, give him time to prepare, and he's going to do some good things.
Well, maybe Will Wade can play third base. He kind of looks like a third baseman.
Hey, he may. All right, we'll be back tomorrow to talk some more LSU baseball. They play today at 5 against Louisiana Tech. The game will be on ESPN Plus on the app. TK tomorrow will be at?
Well, tomorrow I'll be at Court Street Cafe. Don't forget Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. I'm going to have crawfish tomorrow, but the supply will be limited because of the cold snap. Just call and reserve them. If they book it for you, you'll be able to get them. Lunch specials, book your crawfish bowls. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood on Facebook and Instagram. Be a great way to keep up with what they have, what's going on, all that. Tomorrow, I'll be over there with Jason and the staff at Court Street Cafe, 805 Court Street in Port Allen. 2 minutes over the bridge, easy to find. Come by, hang out a little bit. Watch us do Sports Shorts Daily at Court Street Cafe tomorrow. And, of course, Tremonti's Meat and Seafood today. Chicken fried steak for lunch today. Come check it out.
Chicken fried steak at Tremonti's. And tomorrow, Tommy, it will be at Court Street Cafe in Port Allen. Around 10 o'clock tomorrow, we'll be back for more Sports Shorts Daily presented by L'Auberge.